Okay, folks, Andrew Bopros here. I'm going to do a quick video on Jalen Ramsey. There's been a lot of trade rumors that he may get traded here soon at some point, and there's a lot of conversation pre-June 1st, post-June 1st. There's a lot of conversations around that. Why does it matter for the Chargers? I'm going to get into this. I think it's interesting, and I want to also address, just as a general conversation, do you think that the Miami Dolphins are going to be in a rebuild year? Could be an interesting conversation, guys. So let's get into it. Okay, folks, as always, like and subscribe if you do enjoy the content. I'm Andrew Bopros. And again, I will say this. I do think that it's an interesting time to be a Dolphins fan. I think, unfortunately for them, they are in a rebuild year. And why does it matter, right? Why do I care? I'm going to talk more about that a little bit later on in the video. But I want to break down what's going on with the Dolphins, why I do think Jalen Ramsey might be someone we could go after if it makes sense financially. And I'm also going to answer the question, do I think he really fits our system, right? Because a lot of people are going to say, well, we should look at Jalen Ramsey. He's that big name. Again, he's 31 years old. But look, bottom line, we know that the Dolphins are a very good team, very prolific offense. You know that. I know that, right? But they are going through some major problems. I'm going to go into that here in a second. But it starts with Tua, and he's getting paid a lot of money, folks. And you have to ask yourself this question: is he even going to be on the field, right? And then secondarily, we all know Tyreek Hill. Well, let's face it. He wants his bags. He's got a lot of money coming his direction, guaranteed money, but he doesn't really want to stay in Miami because he's reading the tea leaves, and it's like, time to split skis, right? You know that, I know that, and that's where he's standing. So let's just go through the dead cap money just a little bit on this, or just the general cash, right? So they have about $16 million. Now, just so you know, you need about that much money to sign your players, okay, in the draft. Depending on how many draft picks, I haven't looked that up yet, but most time you need around, if you have hardly any draft picks, maybe 10 million, but you need probably 15 million depending on where you pick. So, but let's look at the actual dollar amount that they have currently right now. Cap number, huge. Huge. So Jalen Ramsey is just fascinating. And I'm partially doing this video because I find I couldn't believe his contract that he got. It's really interesting. Just goes to show you how important a good GM is. I think this GM made a really bad decision, and I'm going to kind of talk about why that is. But again, look at this. The top three players, don't even know if this guy can play, doesn't want to play there anymore. And Jalen Ramsey is apparently requesting a trade. Look, they're jumping ship. You know that. I know that. And it's a bad situation, right? So we'll see how it plays out. Everyone wants Tyreek Hill to be on the Chargers. I'm not a big fan of that idea, but again, nobody can deny his talent. I just don't know if he's the right guy for us. Jim Harbaugh type of football guy. So let's talk about the man of the hour, Jalen Ramsey. I think it's really fascinating when you look at what happened here, guys. I mean, this goes to show you why I like our GM, Joe Ortiz. And you might argue that Joe Ortiz is making crappy pickups. Like, they're not splashy pickups. Here's the problem. I think sometimes in the NFL, it's kind of like Moneyball, right? You want guys, they hit doubles and singles, get on base, they get walks. Those aren't sexy guys. Fans want guys to hit home runs, hit absolute nukes and grand slams, right? And Joe Ortiz is playing the small ball arena, right? He's getting good players that he thinks fits well in our system. Okay. Now let's fast forward to what this GM did for Jalen Ramsey. Absolutely crazy. And I'm just like, this is nuts. So Jalen Ramsey was signed to a new money contract of $24 million per year. Right after the Broncos signed Patrick Surtain to the highest paid cornerback in the league, $24 million. So the funny thing is actually Jalen Ramsey is actually the highest paid cornerback from what I'm reading in this article. So fewer than 8 months later, the Dolphins are looking to already trade Ramsey. Now, Ramsey, I don't think has really come out and specifically said he wants to, but they're like, crap, dude, we need to fix this. We need to get rid of these players, right? Which means they never should have signed him to begin with. See, and I think they panicked. They're like, oh, we got to sign him. He can get more money somewhere else. And they overpaid for him. Guys, he's 31 years old. Don't get me wrong. Jalen Ramsey is a very good cornerback, and he's still a very good cornerback. But is he worth that much money? I would argue not. Okay. But a trade would have significant consequences, right? A trade before June 1st, okay, before June 1st, this is after the draft, would trigger a $25.23 million dead cap money charge. That's before. So meaning the Dolphins would have to pay that much money. They're not going to do that because I already showed you they don't have that much money, right? So they don't have that much money. After June 1st, they would have to split the deal into 2 years. So it would be 6.7 in 2025 and then 18.4 in 2026. Okay, let me just pause for a second. That is exactly why we aren't signing big name contracts like that, especially in free agency. Folks, this is a perfect example of a GM panicking and going all in and saying, all right, this is our team, let's go forward. And it's the wrong decision. It doesn't work out, right? And now they're just reeling and they're going to struggle. Again, they're already stuck with that much money. They already have. On top of that, Ramsey's already received $4 million roster bonus in March 16th. The best time to trade him would have been before that bill came due, before March. Who wants a 31-year-old cornerback, right? And again, he's a cover man corner, which we don't play with the Chargers, right? So again, the argument is, I'm sure you guys are going to ask, well, should we go get Ramsey? Bottom line, he's more of a man cover type of guy, right? That's not really what we play. We play a lot of zone. So probably not the guy for us, right? Well, let's talk about this as well, too. Why do I think the Chargers may take a stab at him? Let me get into this. Ramsey also has a fully guaranteed option for 2025, the amount of $18.9 million. The new team would be on the hook for that, along with a fully guaranteed base salary in 2025 of $1.25 million. Woo! So if they were to trade him, they would still, in 2025, he would have to be paid $19 million. Wow. To some degree, I think that automatically eliminates the Chargers. I don't think the Chargers would even pay that right now. That that's $20 million for a 31-year-old cornerback whose best days are in the rearview mirror. And guys, they are in the rearview mirror. Guys, we all know this. He's a very good corner, extremely good corner. But he's not what he once was when he was with the Rams. You know that. I know that. Hell, he knows that. But he's getting paid. He gets his money and he gets his bags. It is what it is. It makes it a tough sell. The Dolphins are going to have a hard time getting someone to pay that $20 million contract for 2025. And look, they're going to try, right? They're going to try. And let me just give you an example of how this could play out, right? Let's say, we wanted, I'll talk about the Chargers first and foremost. Okay. Do I think the Chargers should go get him? And the answer is no. He's 31 years old. I think we have a very good cornerback room. We don't have the best cornerback room, but it's good. It's serviceable. I think part of the problem with Jalen, specifically for the Chargers, is that he is really more of a man corner, right? He's Revis Island. You man him up on one side, you take one guy off the field, you take their number one or their number two off the field, however you want to cover them, and you wipe that person off the board. We don't play defense that way, right? So I don't see that really being a value to us. Now, other teams might see it a value, especially if they don't get a cover corner that they want in the draft. So after the draft, they might say, well, okay, maybe the Falcons or someone that has some money. Let's see a team. Maybe the Patriots is a good example. Patriots have a lot of cap space. I could see maybe the Patriots or maybe the Lions or maybe the Raiders or maybe the Titans or the Niners potentially. I wouldn't say the Niners probably, but Patriots, Lions, Raiders, Titans might go after them because they're rebuilding. They're not good teams right now. They're not. Well, I'm sorry. The Lions are a great team, but they need a few pieces, and so they do have $42 million in cap space available, so they could actually afford it, right? So you see how the dollars would make sense at that point, right? And also they can negotiate for that team to potentially take up some of that cap space as well. All right, we'll take him, but you cover half of that money in 2025. They're like, oh my God, but look, that's what a bad contract does, right? Again, look back at Joey Bosa's contract. Joey Bosa's contract was way overpaid for what he was paid, his performance. There we go. You get what I'm saying. But my point is, at the end of the day, Jalen Ramsey, I think it's just not a fit for the Chargers. But what do you guys think? You guys think I'm off on this? Do you think it's worth it for us to pay that much money? I know we're going to have a lot more money next year to pay for players. But I mean, is it worth it for us to take a swing on him for 1 year? What do you guys think? I mean, I'm curious what your thoughts are. That's why I'm doing this video. As always, Andrew Bolt Bros. See you guys in the next one.
Hey, what's up? Cameron Dick here watching Bolt Bros podcast.